Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the true cost of lost time. Look, we all know that terrible, sinking feeling of putting things off, right? But today, we're actually going to use hard science and some incredibly powerful real-life stories to show you exactly how to take your time back. We're going to break down the actual, literal psychology of why we delay and, way more importantly, how you can finally beat it. Let's get right into it.
We're kicking things off with a pretty profound piece of wisdom from an old watchmaker. There's this classic story about a lazy young boy who went wandering around a market trying to find out the actual price of the time inside a watch. After getting laughed at by pretty much everyone, an old watchmaker finally stopped him and said, "You know, you can give millions of rupees, but you cannot buy back even 1 second." It's so true, isn't it? Time has one really bad thing and one really good thing about it. The bad thing? It passes. The good thing? You get to choose how to spend it. It's absolutely our most priceless, completely unbuyable asset.
Okay, part 1. The illusion of tomorrow. Let's look at the stark contrast between two entirely different mindsets. Think of them as twin brothers, Sonu and Monu. Now, Sonu is the active doer. He wakes up early, knocks out his projects, preps for his tests. He just gets it done. Monu, on the flip side, is the passive dreamer. He delays the hard work, relies totally on luck, and always prioritizes instant fun. You know, playing outside, binge-watching TV. Monu is constantly pushing his responsibilities to this imaginary tomorrow. And honestly, it's a habit that just leaves his work totally incomplete and puts him painfully behind. But here's what's truly staggering about this. We're not just talking about a few lazy people here and there. According to a leading researcher, Dr. Pierre Steele, chronic procrastination has skyrocketed by a massive 300 to 400% over the last 40 years. Let that sink in. Today, literally half the global population procrastinates on a frequent basis. So we really have to ask, why?
Well, that brings us to part 2, the science of delay.
Scientists actually outline 4 main theories to explain why we put things off. First up is expectancy theory. Basically, if you think you're going to fail, your motivation just completely tanks. Second is need theory, meaning we work way harder when a task actually matches our dominant psychological needs, like the need for power or social connection. Third is cumulative prospect theory, which is really just loss aversion. Think about it. The sheer panic of losing your job is going to motivate you a lot more than the promise of some tiny bonus. And finally, there's our deep-seated desire for immediate gratification.
Now, that fourth theory is the crucial one. It's called hyperbolic discounting, and it perfectly explains why sitting there watching a funny video right now feels infinitely better than the distant, long-term reward of, say, passing an exam or getting in shape. As humans, we're biologically hardwired to discount future rewards in favor of whatever gives us a quick hit of dopamine right this very second.
But, you know, it's not all just cold mathematical reward calculations. Psychologists Tim Peichel and J.R. Ferrari pointed out back in 2012 that underneath all these formulas, we often procrastinate simply because we are terrified of failing. We delay the work just to protect our own egos. Because if we never actually try, we can always just tell ourselves, well, I could have been great if I had just put the effort in.
And the mental toll this takes, it is profound. Think about when you're mindlessly scrolling on your phone. Your actions are completely out of alignment with your deep desire to succeed, right? This creates a massive, stressful mental conflict called cognitive dissonance. It's that huge gap between who you currently are and who you desperately want to be. And it generates so much heavy guilt, anxiety, and just pure exhaustion.
Which leads us to part 3, the heavy cost of comfort.
Back in 1995, researchers Gilovich and Medvec proved something called the Temporal Theory of Regret. What they found is absolutely fascinating. While taking a risk and failing might cause some short-term regret, inaction, literally just sitting on the sidelines and doing nothing, generates a much deeper, permanent regret over time. The pain of realizing that you were the main reason your own life didn't move forward, that is almost unbearable.
To see how this harsh reality plays out, let's look at Ethan's story. Ethan lost an entire decade to procrastination. At age 20, he was just casually wasting away his days, totally addicted to the whole idea of tomorrow.
By the time he hit 24, he was watching all his peers succeed and move on while he was still entirely stuck in his childhood bedroom. But the real breaking point, that came at age 28. He got a phone call from a friend offering him a photography job. Ethan just froze. He hadn't touched a camera in years. His hands were totally empty, and he had to turn the job down.
Ethan had this haunting realization that highlights a terrifying truth for all of us. Comfort is highly, highly addictive. It silently steals away your potential while you're busy making these grand plans for a perfect tomorrow. He realized he was just a dreamer, completely addicted to planning, but life only ever rewards the doers.
All right, part 4, discipline over motivation. So Ethan survived hitting rock bottom by completely stopping his wait for motivation. Motivation is super short-lived, right? It's emotional. It waits for the perfect plan, and then it usually burns out in a few days. So instead, Ethan focused entirely on building momentum. Momentum is built on consistent, really boring routines. It's those small, silent, unglamorous actions you do every single day without any applause or instant success.
And it worked. At age 29, Ethan finally earned his first $30 doing a toddler's birthday shoot. Now, it wasn't glamorous at all. He had a cracked lens, a super cheap tripod, and he spent 10 solid hours editing those photos. But that $30, it proved that messy, incredibly small starts are literally the only way to break through the paralysis of failure. You really don't need a perfect plan. You just need movement.
Let's bring it all together. Part 5, taking your time back.
The scientific blueprint to fix this in your own life is clear, and it is highly effective. Step 1, take a physical pen and paper and write down the actual root cause of your delay. Are you secretly afraid of failing? Is the reward just too far away? Step 2, break the task down into much smaller steps so you can trigger those instant mini rewards along the way. And finally, step 3, build unbreakable discipline by simply over-delivering on quiet, daily habits.
When you follow these steps, you're actually hacking your own brain. You satisfy Dr. Pierre Steele's temporal motivation theory. This meta-theory basically proves that we beat procrastination when we finally align our personal expectations with immediate, highly achievable rewards. You stop relying on these random, fleeting bursts of inspiration, and you start relying on a rock-solid, structured formula for action. Ethan implemented some strict rules to basically save his own life, building a clear blueprint completely from scratch. He sat in total silence to really face his regrets. He committed to doing something real for 7 straight days. He swapped out cheap dopamine hits for actual skill tutorials. He learned to view rejection as actual proof that he was trying. And his ultimate golden rule: earn, reinvest, repeat. By doing this, he turned his deepest regret into the ultimate fuel, and he eventually built a massive community of over 100,000 followers just by being totally honest and relentlessly consistent. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with Ethan's haunting daily realization. Time never forgives, and it never ever returns what it already took. But you can start building a future so powerful that it completely silences those past regrets. So I have to ask you, are you going to use today to just scroll on your phone again, or are you going to finally use it to pay back the time you lost? Start small, start scared, but whatever you do, just start.